Hi there. My name is Richard Young. I'm President and CEO of I80 Gold. I'm happy to be here, Matthew, to talk about our recapitalization plan that is moving forward and will be completed by the end of the first quarter.
Richard, good to see you, sir. And obviously, we're going to talk about something that I think has been, much on the radar for investors looking in. This was the overhang for you, and these things don't happen overnight. So, how long did it take to kind of put this package together?
It started September 18th, 2024, when I first started. This is the day that I've been waiting for. But really, we've been thinking about this day since I started. We had developed that development plan that we laid out with our Q3 results in 2024, and we've been working towards this day since that time. And we're pleased to announce the financing, great partners that we worked with in the past. So we're really pleased with the outcome.
Right, and tell us about the amount. Who's involved, and basically the structure as well, because people will be interested in the type of money you've got raised.
Yeah, so we put an announcement out Thursday morning. We've raised $500 million US, half that coming from Franco-Nevada, the other half coming from National Bank and Macquarie banks. So 500, 250 from each. From Franco, it's in the form of a royalty. So it's a 1.5% royalty on our portfolio through the next decade. Then it steps up to 3% in 2031 as we develop the portfolio and then can fund that higher royalty amount. And the second part of it is with the banks. So it's in the form of a prepay. So it's a $250 million facility. We'll draw $150 million essentially on closing. And what we've done is we've pre-sold about 40,000 ounces, which is roughly 10% of our production over that 30-month period that will make those deliveries. And the average price we're getting is about $37.50 an ounce. So that's net of all of the fees and the interest that we're paying on that amount. And along with, replacing the existing converts that we're calling and the potential sale of a non-core asset, all of which we expect to have completed by the end of the first quarter, we will be fully funded for phase 1 and phase 2 of our 3-phase development plan.
Okay, I think you'll have most of your shareholders be delighted that this is a non-dilutory raise and that money was available to you. But money like this sort of comes with covenants and operational restrictions sometimes. How do you feel about what you were able to put together and how that affects you operationally?
Yeah, so Franco-Nevada, I've actually worked at 5 companies. I've worked with Franco at all five companies. And so we know them well. And our team has worked with Franco for 3 or 4 companies. So, we understand sort of what their goals and objectives are. They understand what ours are. So we're quite comfortable with the requirements under that facility. And then with respect to the banks, it's National Bank and Macquarie. Again, we've worked with Macquarie. This is our 3rd company that we've worked together. Our VP Treasury, our GC, have done a number of transactions with both National and Macquarie. The covenants that we put in place give us a lot of flexibility to execute on our plan. So, while it's a higher cost of capital, both with Franco and with the banks today, it does give us the flexibility and the certainty to be able to execute on the plan, which was the most important thing from the bank's, our board's perspective, was certainty over promise, because if we can deliver on this 3-phase development plan, which we believe we can and will deliver a lot of value for shareholders. And the cost of the financing is really just a rounding error.
Well, I think it's a great point you make, because I think typically in quieter markets, securitization by debt providers can be quite onerous. In some, was it sort of an easier conversation in a kind of high price gold environment like this, high margin price like environment like this to have these conversations? Because it certainly wouldn't have felt like this back in 2024, would it?
Yeah, no, that's a great point. I think more important than the price of gold was the fact that there was competition. So we received 5 term sheets. We actually got 3 committed term sheets. So, in order for the banks to get the business, they had to compete with the other committed term sheets we got. And so, it's one of those situations where, you get something from one, and then you sort of bring it over to the other 2 term sheets that you're negotiating. And so I think that really helped us out. It was a lot of work on behalf of the team to actually move forward with 3 different groups to put in a committed term sheet, all the diligence and the negotiations that took place. But ultimately that gave us the most flexibility. It didn't really affect the cost, but what was more important, as I mentioned before, was the flexibility in the covenants and the terms to be able to allow us to do the things that we need to do over the next 3 to 5 years. So, for example, we've got the ability to have a working capital facility because under a toll milling agreement, it can be 120 to 150 days before we actually get payment for the production that we deliver. So that was one. The other element is there's likely going to be a point in 2027 as we're completing the refurbishment of our own process facility where we will actually stop delivering material under the toll milling agreement, stockpile that, put that through our own facility, which will save us between $1,000 and $1,500 per ounce. So we've got the flexibility for a facility for that purpose, which originally the banks didn't want to give, but because we got from other groups, they didn't really have a choice if they wanted to win the business. So a lot of negotiations that went back and forth, but we do now have the flexibility to execute on this plan as we see fit.
Yeah, it's nice to kind of see the kind of, I guess, the pro forma balance sheet strengthening here. Was 500 the right number? Are you comfortable with 500?
We are. We still need another 100 to 200 to complete the recap. But look at, $3,600 gold. We're fully funded. We say publicly phase 1 and 2, but we're actually fully funded for all 3 phases. Yeah, we may not require any further debt. And if we do, it'll be in the form of a revolver with the banks at lower cost than what our current facility is at. But we don't believe that it's going to require any equity. So, we feel that it's a key milestone for us and our shareholders by the time we finish this quarter to understand what the capital structure looks like. And then I think investors and potential new investors can focus on the quality of the assets and the upside within each of those assets and what that can mean for the company overall and the value of the company.
Yeah, I mean, obviously it allows for, more certainty of decision making and not having to worry about discretionary spend issues. So that's all good. Can you sort of break it down? Because you talk about all 3 phases now being funded and maybe a need for another 100, possibly a little bit more later on. What exactly is going to be delivered in 2026, and why does that actually drive value in the stock?
Well, so you go back to 25. We delivered PAs for the 5 gold projects in the development plan, as well as the technical study for the refurbishment of the Lone Tree plant. That refurbishment is underway, and we expect to have that completed and be pouring gold from that facility by the end of 2027, which is important because we currently toll mill Granite Creek Underground, our first mine that's in operation, and we're losing between $1,000 and $1,500 an ounce through the toll milling charge. And the same will occur once we start producing gold at our second underground mine, which is currently in construction. So as we look at 2026, it will be ramping up the refurbishment of the Lone Tree autoclave, which will be complete next year. We'll be publishing feasibility studies for 2 of our 3 underground mines.
Right.
We are currently drilling and completing a phase for the 3rd underground mine, and that will be announced in early 27. What this facility with Franco has allowed us to do is to actually accelerate our technical work and our pre-fees for Mineral Point, our flagship project. So for 2026, we actually have $50 million in the budget for a resource expansion and infill drill program as part of a pre-fees engineering work as well as initial permitting. So that's something that's changed as we've brought that project forward. And overall, we continue to look at the development plan with a view of how can we optimize it. In particular, how can we bring Mineral Point forward in the plan? Mineral Point is our most valuable asset. It's our biggest asset. And the sooner we can put that into production, the better for our shareholders. So that's been a focus of the team. So as we move through this year, we've got 3 extensive drill programs, 1 at Granite Creek that's a carryover from last year with the success we had last year. Archimedes, in preparation of the feasibility study that will come out in the first part of 27, as well as Mineral Point, where we'll have a pre-fees in the first half of 27 that will then roll into a full fees as we proceed through 27. So this recap and the funding that it provides gives us the flexibility to move the entire portfolio ahead on an expedited basis.
It's been well done on getting the money in, especially in this form. I think the question was always, could they get the money? Now it's, you've got the money, and it's what you're going to do and how you're going to execute that's going to answer the question in terms of driving that value. So how will you measure success during the year? Is it going to be on executing on the ground? Is it going to be driving that on a share basis, or affecting you kind of your PNAV compared to your peers? What are you looking at? What should we look at more importantly, I guess?
I don't really look at the share price, and I can't. From our perspective, we look at those 5 PAs we put out. We told the market at that time that we believed that they were conservative, and that as we transition from a PA to a feasibility study, we expected the value to rise. And the value would rise through the infill and step-out drill programs being conducted at those assets. How we will measure ourselves is how we perform against those PAs. We believe we're going to do better than what we had in those PAs. And then it's completing the feasibility studies. Now, they've moved around a little bit in terms of when they're completed as we've identified opportunities and risks that we needed to address. But we fundamentally believe that the feasibility studies will be better than the PAs, and we are focused on delivering on this timeline that we've laid out. So how will we measure ourselves? It'll be, building or refurbishing the Lone Tree plant on schedule and on budget. It will be, the 2 upcoming feasibility studies for Granite Creek and Cove. Are they better than what the PA was? And then the execution as we move through permitting and operation of those projects, the same with Archimedes and the same with Mineral Point. So we report to our board against the PAs. We're keenly aware of what's in the capital markets in terms of what we've laid out, and we're focused on doing better. Better in terms of the overall value, potentially better in terms of timing of bringing those projects forward. The things that I think every company looks at: can you produce more gold at similar lower costs? and get those projects in production sooner rather than later, because time is money.
Time is money, and you've got some. So well done on the raise, and we look forward to hearing more from you soon. Thanks.
Thank you.